Hi everyone, welcome to the next In Conversation podcast. Today I'm talking to Rosie Seager-Jones. Rosie spent her childhood growing up on the small but highly biodiverse island of La Palma in the Canary Islands, which she says ignited her passion for nature and marine ecosystems. She moved back to Wales to study for a BSc in zoology at Aberystwyth and is now completing her MSc in global ecology and conservation at Cardiff University. She's going to be talking to us today about her current research, which is all about AI in freshwater ecology. Good morning, Rosie.
Morning.
How's lockdown going for you? Are you still able to get out in nature a lot?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the beautiful sunshine and the time to reconnect with nature a little bit, which is nice.
I think I have to ask about La Palma before we get going on the AI stuff. Could you give us a quick taste of any of the sorts of wildlife we get out there?
Well, yeah, I'm a really big fan, mainly of the marine ecosystem out there. I love going snorkeling because it's so accessible from the UK to get there. You can get a really cheap flight over there compared to the really expensive flights over to like the Caribbean to go see amazing fish, rainbow fish, and see all these different species of sharks. But most of the coast is a marine nature reserve, so there's just endless wildlife there that you just see.
That sounds amazing. It's definitely somewhere on my bucket list, I think. So, switching attentions then, let's talk about AI. So, we're turning towards the use of AI in ecology. Why is this? Why are we starting to use it?
So the thing is, with a lot of long-term data sets in science, there's hundreds of thousands of gigabytes worth of important data, say images from camera traps or environmental data that needs monitoring, like constant data, and audio data as well is also a big one. And researchers are now turning to artificial intelligence to answer pressing ecological questions that in real time that can be analysed in real time. So the computer will then be able to help analyse these bird calls or audio recordings for this student without the need to go through thousands and thousands of recordings.
So, how have you been using AI specifically for your research?
So there's this program that these very, very clever people have managed to make, which is to detect fish species. An AI can detect fish species, so it can look at this image, and it's been trained with hundreds and hundreds of photos of different species of fish, and then to recognize certain traits within it. And then it can say, oh, well, this is a salmon, this is a brown trout, and whatever. So now they have that and they've reached that incredible breakthrough. Along comes an MSc student and says, can we detect parasites on these fish then? So collecting photos of fish lice and this fungal infection called saprolegnia, which is like a cotton wool fungus. It looks really fluffy and white, or it can also appear brown, but these are the most common. And they're seen in rivers all the time. And people are taking photographs of them for just for the sake of it, really. They're taking photos because they see this diseased fish. And I'm the person that then comes along, takes these images, and then analyzes them. So there'll be a photo of a salmon with, say, 10 fish lice on it. Then I will be counting the fish lice, detecting the species, and I'll be classifying them for the computer to then train it up to recognize the parasites on the species.
How is it detecting these parasites? So it's all with an algorithm, presumably.
So yeah, there's sort of like a mother computer that has certain codes you can create to tailor to specific needs. So it can, so for example, iNaturalist is using very similar software. They're using it to detect a whole range of species, and that's a specific code so that they use. So this specific code for me would be using not only the fish identification, but also parasites on said fish.
So what are the wider implications for this then?
Well, this is a really good thing because at the moment, monitoring fish health in our rivers is very difficult. But we have a lot of anglers, we have a lot of people that take pictures of these diseased fish, and they don't really know what to do with them. But if these people know, which I've been contacting a lot of them and talking to a lot of them, and they're all really positive about it, is if they can submit these photos to, say, a website or something, a bit like iNaturalist, really, we can then detect disease, because a lot of the time you can add location, or you can extract location and date information from the images, and we can say, okay, well, there seems to be an outbreak of fish lice in this area. What's going on here? And we can track historical distributions of the parasite, if there's certain factors affecting it more, and it's going to be really good, I think, for monitoring fish health in our rivers.
That's so interesting. So there's really are kind of huge, wider uses for this with fish ecology, because it is such an understudied area as well.
Yeah, and not even fish. It can be, because there's been so many different similar sort of projects like this, and using a whole variety of animals. Luckily, for me, there's a lot of images of these fish, but say if it's of an animal that's of great concern, very endangered, and there's only a few of these animals in the wild, it's going to be difficult to train up the computer without having a lot of bias towards just learning the outline of one individual instead of the whole species.
Oh, on a slightly different note, you did something very similar with a British Antarctic survey, is that right?
In Cambridge. So there's a guy called Polar Prem on Twitter. He's really, really good person to look at. He's a PhD student, and he's been monitoring seals from space. So he's been using high resolution satellite imagery to he's zooming in on it, and he's carrying out seal surveys. What happened was he wanted to do a sort of a advanced citizen science approach, so university students with certain skills, because it's quite high-tech software using like GIS, and you got to sort of know what you're doing. And so yeah, they took us for a week and spent many hours carrying out, we on the computer, counting seals in a grid system across Antarctica, which was long, and there were certain things we had to look out for, like blood stains on the ice, and this was a really good idea of if there was a seal around, and you could also measure the dots in the images to see how long they were, to see what species of seal it could be. So there's so much you could obtain from just one satellite image that wasn't going to be used for science, and it's actually being really useful.
It doesn't get much cooler than that, using satellite imagery to monitor seals from space. That's pretty cool. So yeah, we've seen how AI can be used. So you've talked about using it for the fish stuff, and then using it for the seals with bass as well. So clearly AI has a lot of potential in the ecological field. What do you think the potential of it is moving forward?
I think it's going to be a really useful tool, but it won't replace humans, the need for humans, because there's still a very long way to go. But yeah.
So perhaps more of a synthesis of human data with AI data is perhaps the way forward for now.
Yeah.
That's great. It's been so interesting. Thank you so much. One last question, which I'm asking everyone before we go. What's been your best wildlife encounter or best wildlife fact that you've learnt whilst in lockdown?
Whilst in lockdown? Well, I think when I saw a weasel for the first time, I was sitting in in a little spot because you're supposed to sit still for about 20 minutes and you'll see lots of nature apparently. So I was testing this out and this weasel just ran out in front of me and looked at me, and yeah, I think I died of happiness. So that was my best encounter.
This has been such an interesting insight, Rosie. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks for having me.
If you want to see more of what Rosie's been up to, be sure to go back and check out her Instagram. There's some really cool stuff on there. That's all I got for today, but please do like and share this podcast. Let us know what you think. Until next time, bye for now.